Did you know that in 2025, millions of people across Asia are being denied US visas, even when they do everything right? We're talking about students, families, professionals, turned away with no reason, no appeal, no second chance. From outdated policies to silent politics, the rejection feels less like a process and more like a wall. And some of the countries on this list will leave you stunned, especially number 5. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this isn't just about visas, it's a wake-up call for anyone who still believes the system is fair. Number 1. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a country on the rise, with a growing middle class, a thriving tech scene, and a new generation looking outward for education, travel, and opportunity. But when it comes to visiting the United States, that door is closing fast, and it's not because people are doing something wrong. According to U.S. State Department data, over 60% of tourist and business visa applications from Bangladesh are denied. And the explanation often comes down to something vague: the presumption of immigrant intent. By law, U.S. officers are required to assume every applicant intends to stay permanently, unless they can prove otherwise. But what counts as proof isn't always clear. Even people with strong jobs, family ties, property ownership, and confirmed return flights are told they don't have enough reasons to come back. Young applicants face even more scrutiny. Being single or having limited travel history can be reason enough for rejection, creating a system where the odds are stacked against everyday people, no matter how prepared they are. Students in particular are hit hard. Many are accepted into American universities with scholarships, only to have their dreams crushed by a denied visa. And in 2025, that reality hasn't changed. If anything, more Bangladeshis than ever are left wondering, what else do I need to prove I'll come back home? Number 2. Cambodia. The struggle for U.S. visas in Cambodia rarely makes international headlines. But for many families, students, and professionals, it's a silent crisis that's becoming harder to ignore. Cambodia has long been caught in diplomatic tensions with the United States, particularly over its refusal to accept deported Cambodian nationals. In response, the U.S. imposed visa sanctions. While those sanctions were officially targeted at government officials, the impact has trickled down to everyday people, many of whom have nothing to do with politics. Even students who are accepted to American universities, with full financial support and strong academic records, are being turned away. Tourists trying to visit relatives or attend events like weddings and graduations face rejection too. And what's especially difficult is how unpredictable the process has become. 2 Cambodians with identical financials, travel history, and paperwork might walk into the embassy on the same day and walk out with completely different outcomes. When that happens, it doesn't feel like policy anymore. It feels like a gamble. In 2025, this uncertainty hasn't improved. If anything, the sense that visa decisions are driven more by politics than people is leaving many Cambodians feeling shut out, for reasons they can't control and can't fix. Number 3. Vietnam. Vietnam is one of the fastest-growing economies in Southeast Asia. Its global presence is expanding, foreign investment is flowing in, and diplomatic ties with the U.S. have never looked better, at least on paper. But for Vietnamese citizens trying to get a U.S. visa, the process remains stubbornly difficult. One of the biggest reasons? Overstays. In previous years, Vietnam has ranked among the top countries where travelers enter the U.S. legally, but don't leave when their visa expires. And while most Vietnamese applicants follow the rules, that reputation lingers, and it affects everyone. Even seasoned travelers with strong financials and international history, people who visited Europe, Australia, or Japan, are still being denied. They bring all the right documents, show proof of income, provide return tickets, and still walk out of the embassy with a rejection slip and no real explanation. And that inconsistency is what stings the most. Visa decisions often feel arbitrary. Some are approved within minutes, while others, almost identical on paper, are turned away. For a country actively strengthening its relationship with the U.S., this kind of message feels mixed. In 2025, despite all the progress at the political level, many Vietnamese citizens still feel locked out by a process that's as opaque as it is unforgiving. Number 4. Iran. Iran's appearance on this list isn't unexpected, but the human cost of U.S. visa restrictions on everyday Iranians is often overlooked. Because there's no U.S. embassy in Iran, applicants must first travel to a third country, like Turkey, the UAE, or Armenia, just to apply. That extra step isn't small. It means spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars, taking time off work, arranging for lodging, and in some cases, facing security risks, all without any guarantee you'll even be seen, let alone approved. And unfortunately, success is rare. Visa refusal rates for Iranians consistently exceed 80%, one of the highest in the world. Students accepted into prestigious American universities, scientists invited to global conferences, even elderly parents hoping to visit their children in the U.S., all are routinely turned away. The official reason? National security concerns. But for many applicants, the rejection feels deeply personal. They're not being judged on who they are, but where they come from. And what's most frustrating is that even Iranians with spotless records, stable incomes, and strong family connections abroad are often denied without explanation, and with no path to appeal. In 2025, as political tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to simmer, visa policy has become more than just bureaucracy. It's become a form of isolation that targets people, not governments. Number 5, Pakistan. Pakistan has one of the largest diaspora populations in the United States. Millions of Pakistani Americans contribute to American society as doctors, entrepreneurs, educators, and business owners. The ties between the two nations run deep, culturally, economically, and personally. But despite that connection, Pakistanis continue to face some of the highest U.S. visa rejection rates in the region. Depending on the year, refusal rates range between 40% and 60%, particularly for tourist and student visas. The reasons given by U.S. officials often include concerns about fraudulent documents or the risk of overstays. But to many applicants, people who've done everything by the book, it feels more like collective punishment. Doctors, engineers, students with scholarships, parents trying to attend their child's graduation, professionals invited to international conferences, all of them are being denied, often without explanation. And that's part of the problem. There's little transparency. Applicants are rarely told why they were denied. And if they are, the reasoning is vague at best. Insufficient ties, immigration risk, or simply does not qualify. There's no meaningful path to appeal, no second chance, no review. What makes it especially painful is that these rejections don't just affect individuals. They impact entire families. They disrupt weddings, funerals, job opportunities, and educational futures. For a country with such a long-standing connection to the U.S., the message in 2025 feels painfully contradictory. You're welcome here, but only on paper. Number 6, Afghanistan. Afghanistan is in a category of its own. Since the Taliban's return to power in 2021, the U.S. Embassy in Kabul has remained closed. That means there's no local way to apply for a visa. Afghans must travel to another country, often Pakistan, Qatar, or the UAE, just to attend an interview. But that's assuming they can even get a passport, obtain safe passage across borders, and afford the trip. For most, those obstacles are already too great. And for those who manage to make it that far, denial is still common. Thousands of Afghans who directly supported U.S. missions, translators, security personnel, NGO workers, were promised protection through special immigrant visas. Years later, many are still waiting. Others have been rejected, without explanation or clear recourse. But it's not just about former allies. Students hoping to study abroad, women seeking freedom from gender-based oppression, families desperate to reunite after being split by war. All face the same outcome: delay, rejection, or silence. And these aren't isolated cases. They reflect a wider system that's overwhelmed, under-resourced, and, many would argue, broken. In 2025, Afghanistan remains one of the hardest places in the world to get a U.S. visa, and one of the most heartbreaking examples of promises made and not kept. Number 7, North Korea. If every other country on this list struggles to get US visas, North Korea doesn't even have the chance to struggle. The country is nearly sealed off from the world. There's no US embassy, no visa processing center, no official communication channel. North Korean citizens are not allowed to travel freely by their own government. And even if they could, the US has no infrastructure to receive or process their applications. Technically, there are no visa rejection statistics, because there are almost no applications. The pipeline simply doesn't exist. Occasionally, you'll hear of North Korean defectors who've resettled in countries like South Korea, Germany, or Canada. Some of them later try to apply for a US visa to visit family or attend events. But even in those rare cases, their place of birth alone can trigger additional scrutiny, and ultimately, rejection. For the average North Korean, there is no access to the outside world. And when it comes to the US, the reality isn't just out of reach, it's practically invisible. No pathway, no process, no opportunity. It's not a visa denial issue. It's the total absence of possibility. So what do all these countries have in common? They represent millions of people who, in 2025, are being denied access to the United States. Not because of who they are, but because of where they come from. The reasons vary. Some are rooted in security, others in politics. Some are tied to outdated perceptions or broad generalizations. But the outcome is always the same: rejection without clarity. And that's what makes this so frustrating. It's not just about paperwork, it's about dignity. So, we want to hear from you. Were you surprised by any of the countries on this list? Have you, or someone you know, faced a US visa rejection despite doing everything right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you found this video eye-opening, give it a like, share it, and subscribe for more global deep dives like this one. Because behind every visa denial is a story the world deserves to hear.